Welcome to Dr. Linux Presents, a tour of Ubuntu 24.04 long-term support. We're going to be doing a quick tour of the latest release of Canonical's Ubuntu Linux. The installation screens have been grossly enhanced and are very pleasing. As you move your way through the installation, this is a complete clean install to a virtual machine. We're going to install Ubuntu, and we're going to actually go through all the steps to show you how this is done. We're going to do the extended selections. And as we move through these menus, we're going to tell it to install third-party software and also to download any additional media formats that might be necessary for Ubuntu to work. Since this is a virtual machine, we are going to erase the drive. This may or may not be the case if you're installing to your hard drive. We're going to pick a username and a password. And we're going to let the installation fly. What I wanted to demonstrate here is, as you move through these screens with ease, it'll give you a summary, and I'm going to speed up the video here. I wanted to demonstrate, though, that Ubuntu has a huge user base with Canonical behind you, and there's tons of help and support. This is what makes it such a great system for new users. There are tons of people out there that use this as their daily operating system. Once it is installed, it's going to ask you to restart. You're going to click Restart. And I've increased the speed here. You'll see it reboot the virtual machine. This screen you will only see on the first time reboot. This very plain screen will not be seen again. It's eventually going to give you to the GNOME login screen here, where you type in your password when you see your username. We're going to move on to the grand tour. You can enable Ubuntu Pro if you wish. You can also select to provide them with data. This is just a graphic representation of all the different free software that's available by using Linux through their software store. You'll see on the desktop that there is a general home folder that can be opened, very typical of most computer operating systems, a browser, email reader, file folders, a music player, and there's also, it ships with LibreOffice, which is a complete Office suite, very analogous to Microsoft Office. You can use OpenDoc format or read and write all the Microsoft files. If you go to their software store, everything on here is generally open source and free, and you can find almost any type of software that you need and download it and put it in your environment and use it. The example I chose here is GIMP, which is a Photoshop-like program, and you can see at the top that Ubuntu uses Snapcrafters, which they have hooked their software store to the file distribution system called Snap. They also provide you here with a nice setup at the top where if you click that button, it shows you any applications that are running, and you can type in anything you're searching for. Here's NeoFetch, which demonstrates we're running Ubuntu 24.04 with GNOME 6.8 and on GNOME 46, which is the latest version of GNOME. Ubuntu did not always run the latest version of GNOME. If we continue along, we have clicked the button again, shows us that Firefox is running in the background, but we can type in what we're looking for. Ubuntu has the ability to install additional drivers with ease. It has a specific application for this. If you have an NVIDIA graphics card or AMD, you can click this, it'll find it and install those drivers. This is a boon for early Linux users who want to game or use graphic-intensive programs. They make it really easy for you to install those third-party drivers. Once again, we're going to switch over to our browser here to Firefox, and we're going to take a look at Eclipse, which is a programming environment for Java on all platforms. And I was using this as an example to demonstrate that if you go to specific websites, a lot of times the Linux installation program will be in what's called a DEB file. And you can see here Eclipse 24.06 is the most current version, and if you were to download this, it would download to your computer with a file extension DEB that can be installed into any of the derivatives of Debian Linux, which is what Ubuntu is. And here is just a short description of what the deb file format is. This is the kind of download you're going to find most common on the internet if you go searching somewhere other than a software store that is provided by the Linux distributing company. But here, if we go to the software store that's present on Ubuntu and we type in that same Eclipse, you'll notice if we click to see where it's there to install, it's telling you 24.03 is what they recommend from Snapcrafters. While this may be 3 generations behind what's available on the web, if you install this version from the software store, Ubuntu will maintain all the repositories and maintain the updates of that software. So they're recommending something that's a little bit different than what you might find in the most current version. If we go to Ubuntu support, once again, you're going to find there is a huge community present, both of end users and people from Canonical, which is the company that produces Ubuntu out of the UK. You will find that there are new users, there are established users, there are people that use this every day. I have a son who's a software engineer, and this is the programming environment his employer uses. So there's a wide range of people using this, but anybody can use Ubuntu from beginning user to end users. If we go into the settings application here, and we're going to look at what our system is showing, this is very similar to what we saw on NeoFetch. It's going to show you that this is a virtual machine. It does show my processor that's present. It also shows that you're using the Wayland windowing system. This is the future of windowing in Linux. They used to use X11, but Wayland is the coming thing. It also demonstrates it's using GNOME 46, which is the latest version of GNOME, as we previously discussed. If we click the bottom at the bar, it shows all the software applications that are present. And what we want to do is I wanted to show you that you can actually use GNOME extensions. When you have GNOME, there are a lot of different things that you can add to the environment, but the process has changed. It used to work through a browser. Now there's actually an extension manager that you have to install. So we're going to look for the extension manager here in the software store, and there it is. We're going to go ahead and install that onto our GNOME desktop from the software store, and this is typical of how you install any software. And while we're doing that, it's going to go through there very quickly. Now let's launch the extension manager, and it'll come up demonstrating what GNOME had installed by default. But if you go to the Browse tab, you can find things that will give you like daily wallpaper. You can find things that will enhance the dock that you have on your screen. You can find things that will enhance window behavior. You can enhance all sorts of behavior and window appearance. By using these extensions, you just click Install, and Ubuntu will maintain them and update them as you go forward. Once again, if we go back to our settings menu here, just to demonstrate the different types of appearances that are available, you have a default appearance and a dark appearance, a series of wallpaper that you can pick from, as well as color combinations. And if you go to the Ubuntu desktop, currently the dock is on the left. This is from the old Unity days, but you can change it to the more normal bottom of the screen. And if you click off the panel mode, it gives you a Mac-like or more common GNOME-like appearance where the bar is at the bottom centered in the screen. And this is how most people are going to run a GNOME environment. It just so happens that Ubuntu places it on the left. You can tag any program that's present and it'll put it onto the bar. You can modify and customize this bar. You can also use extensions on this bar. And if you remove it, the program automatically goes back into your software displays that are present from that circle icon at the end of your dock. And if we go back and to the settings, you can do a series of things here. You can check any type of connections that you have, and you can also put in your online accounts. For example, if you have a Google account, if you go and put that into the main settings program here, it'll automatically update your calendar in GNOME. It'll automatically update your contacts. It will not create the email account in Thunderbird, however. You have to do that manually. At the top right, we'll see the little bar where we have our power mode. We also have an icon that we can go directly to our settings again. It gives you connections to your network and also your sound settings. And this is where you can also exit the environment. If you found this helpful, please subscribe to my channel. It helps me with YouTube. And thanks for stopping by.